Why was it worth targeting Iran's nuclear facilities now that they have retaliated against U.S. interests overseas and there's a risk of a regional war?
The president warned them not to retaliate, but he was also very clear that the threat of Iran obtaining nuclear capability is a threat not just to Israel and the Middle East, but to the United States as well. They've been very clear about their intentions and how much they hate us. Remember that Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. All the proxies that have done such great harm to Americans over the years are at their behest. They were working on that, and the president made an evaluation that the danger was imminent enough to take his authority as commander-in-chief and make that
Mr.
decision.
Speaker, in the past couple of months, we've had
Congress
so
vote
many
on
strikes
this? Why not have the Congress vote on
on
this?
soil here. We've had so many strikes here on U.S. soil, attacks against Jews in Boulder and here in Washington, D.C., Governor Shapiro. Do you think that this threat is so serious now, just not at anti-Semitic attacks here, but there's a grave concern about somebody being triggered doing something here in the United States in response to what happened?
Well, we've been in a heightened threat scenario for quite some time, and it's something that we're very vigilant about, as is law enforcement throughout the country, and of course our federal agencies. We get briefings on this routinely, and we know where the threats are and the assessments, but it's a heightened period, of course. Members are concerned about that, as you know. Some of our Jewish members in particular have been targeted, even in recent days, by crazed people. We're going to prosecute those folks to the full extent of the law, and we're going to do everything we can within our power to make sure members are safe and free to do their jobs. There's a number of resources available for protection in that regard, and we're researching other avenues to make sure everyone who serves the public can do so in a safe manner.
Why not have Congress vote on Iran? Why not have this, given that you're the imminence of this threat?
So look, there's been so much talk ranging from AOC suggesting this is an impeachable offense, which is just absolute nonsense, to people suggesting that Congress should dither over this. Look, the Commander-in-Chief has Article 2 responsibilities. They're very serious and important, especially in times like this. I think he used that authority judiciously. I think this Commander-in-Chief means what he says what he means, and he's trying to protect American assets and personnel. We had 40,000 servicemen, men and women over there in that region, and they were in imminent danger, as was our allies in Israel, and as were we. Remember, the international body that is supposed to be monitoring Iran's nuclear program determined in May that they were days away from having capability. That is
Will you allow Massey's War Powers resolution to come to the floor?
I don't think this is an appropriate time for a War Powers resolution, and I don't think it's necessary. Listen, for 80 years, presidents of both parties have acted with the same Commander-in-Chief authority under Article 2. You had President Biden used 3 times in Middle East operations. President Obama went on an 8-month campaign bombing Libya to take down the regime there. I never heard a Democrat balk about any of that. And suddenly now they're just up in arms. It's all politics. This is not a time for politics. This is a very serious
regime change in Iran.
Missiles at U.S. base in Qatar and Iraq, reportedly. Should the U.S. respond to those attacks?
We're monitoring that very closely. I got a classified briefing on all this early this morning. This is the retaliation that was expected. So far, so good. No casualties, so far as we know. And I know that the national security team is in the Situation Room even as we speak, and they're monitoring this.
Do you think it's symbolic? Is that your view?
I'm not gonna comment on it because I don't want to affect any of these events.
But do you think the president should respond? Should the president respond to
It's
this?
up to the Commander-in-Chief. I mean, he sent a very clear message that they should not. He wanted Iran to come back to the negotiating table in good faith. The problem is they weren't there in the first place.
Big,
so we could never
big
get
beautiful bill. We're here until they finish in the Senate. I mean, it looks like they might not get to this till the end of next week, over the weekend. That means you guys
I'm withholding my judgment until I get that final product, but I'm working with individual senators, leadership, and our own members to keep the train on the tracks. You know what my deadline was July 5th.